Hello Vista, third graders. I'm going to take you through step by step of an art activity. Faith Ringgold was an artist who made story quilts, and your assignment is to choose a memory from your past, something that was a special occasion or a special memory that you have, and you're going to design a story quilt. This is kind of a layout. A quilt would actually be made from fabric, but we're just going to do an example of what a quilt could look like. So first of all, here I have my memory. I first of all drew my memory with a pencil, and I actually practiced it once just to make sure I had everything where I wanted it, and then I drew it with a pencil, and then I traced over all my pencil lines with a black Sharpie, and then I took an eraser and I went back and I erased over all the extra pencil lines. And so that was the last thing I was doing, was just erasing those pencil lines so they're not showing up. And then just kind of brush that off. Now another thing that you're going to need to do, and let me tell you, my memory is of when I was about 7 or 8 years old. In the winter time, one of the chores I had on my daddy's farm was to feed the baby cows, feed the calves. And it was a winter night, and so you can see the stars in the sky because it was nighttime, and I'm in the barn. This is a barn, and this is a baby cow, a calf, and it's a Holstein, so I better go ahead and put some markings. A Holstein cow is a cow that has black and white areas on its body, so I'm gonna make some spots so that you can tell it's a Holstein cow. And this is me in my winter coat, my winter boots, and I'm wearing some mittens, and I'm trying to feed this calf, and he doesn't want to drink the milk out of the bucket, and he's just being really stubborn. And so what I decided to do after sitting there for a few minutes, and it was getting cold, was I decided I would just dip my mittens down inside of this warm milk that was in the bucket, and then the baby cow, the calf, could just suck the milk right out of my mittens. And so this is my memory that I have of sitting in the barn, dipping my mittens down into the warm milk and feeding the little baby calf would just suck the milk right out of my mittens. You can see these lines that I've drawn up here. That gives you an idea that this milk was warm and it was steamy. The steam was coming up out of the bucket. And these little drips right here, you can see those are dripping back down because my mittens were so full of milk that they were kind of drippy and kind of soggy. Okay, now I do need to go around the outside of this quilt and design these squares a little bit. And I need to design them with something from my story. So I have stars in the sky here. I could fill one of these boxes in with stars. So I can go ahead and do that. I could actually see how I have these little drip marks. I could fill in one box with drips, drip, drip, drip. And another thing I could do, my mittens have a zigzag line, so I could go ahead and do a zigzag line in another one of these squares, these design boxes. I have a fence or a gate back behind me, so I could make that same kind of a gate design up here in one of these boxes, just something similar to a fence or a gate. So these little boxes around the outside need to be similar to what your story, the parts of your story. My Holstein calf has this design that's kind of like organic shape spots from the cow. I might want to do maybe 2 of those. In fact, if you start running out of ideas, you can do 2 or more of one. I have all of this straw. This is the straw that the calf was laying in to keep nice and warm and clean. So I can make those same kind of lines up in one of the squares. Let's see, is there anything else in my picture? On my coat, I have this fur around my head, around my hat and my sleeves. So I could make those fluffy lines from off of my coat. or my mittens. So you need to design the outside pieces to represent a piece of your story. And then you're going to color it. And I would like you to color it with crayons, because crayons are going to be faster and it's going to give you more freedom to fill in small areas. If you try to paint or use markers, it might be a little bit overwhelming, too busy, too heavy. So I want you to color it with crayons. And remember, this is not an activity that you have to do perfect. I want to be able to look at your picture and get a pretty good idea of what your memory is without you even writing down any words or without you even telling me what was happening in the picture. I want you to be able to just kind of show me that with your, oops, I thought that was black. Oh my goodness. Never fear, we can go over the top. I've noticed on some of the work that you've been turning in over the past few weeks that some of you, not everyone, but just a few of you have neglected to finish your coloring. You've started your coloring and you've done a great job showing me some of your coloring, but I'd like you to finish the coloring. So if you can't do it all in one day, don't try to do it all in one day. Make sure you take your time, you know, maybe do a little bit on Monday, a little bit on Tuesday. Don't feel like you have to do it all in one day. It's better to kind of stretch it out and be able to finish it and make it look nice instead of rushing through it and not doing your best. Anyway, I'm going to keep working on this. I'll keep coloring it, and then I'll show you a picture of it, how it looked when I finished it. So, there you go. I'm so excited to see what you're going to show me in your story memory quilts.